If you were going from England to America in 1912, you most definitely wanted to try to get a ride on this new luxurious ship that's about to set sail, the Titanic. A famous ship that set sail on April 10, 1912 from Southampton to New York was met with great disaster when she hit an iceberg and sank within 3 hours on April 14, 1912. Today, people like historians, educators, boat experts, and many others still talk about this tragedy. Over the years, some of these people have asked questions such as, was it really the Titanic that sunk? And did J.P. Morgan and the White Star Line, the people who owned the Titanic, sink the ship on purpose? Today we will discuss the theory that the Titanic was switched with their sister ship and sunk on purpose, why people believe or don't believe this theory, and lastly, where this theory stands today. Firstly, we will discuss the theory that the Titanic was swapped with her sister ship and sunk on purpose. The name of the Titanic's older sister ship is the Olympic. According to Titanic historian Joshua Milford, a Navy cruiser by the name of HMS Hawk crashed into the side of the Olympic, causing severe damages. According to another source, David Grossman, the Olympic was at fault for the accident. Because of the serious damages, Milford explained that the Olympic had to borrow a propeller shaft from the Titanic along with other materials. Grossman explained that now facing repair costs without insurance money because the Olympic was at fault for the accident and not making any money while sitting at the docks was a major financial disaster for the White Star Line. J.P. Morgan and the White Star Line needed to come up with a plan to recover financially. Because the Titanic's completion was already delayed, they pushed the voyage back from what was supposed to be March 20th, 1912 to April 10th, 1912. The plan was to switch the ships because if the Titanic sunk, they would get the insurance money from that. They wanted to switch the ships with as less people knowing as possible, so the perfect time to do so was when they were sitting side by side. When the Titanic was giving the Olympic one of her propeller shafts, according to an article called Titanic Mystery, it took longer than it should have, and that's because that's when they made the switch. According to Andrew Newton, switching ship names while they're sitting side by side is a common form of marine fraud. In this theory, they turned the Olympic into the Titanic with just a simple paint job. Next, we will talk about why some people believe this theory and others don't. Some people believe this theory because of a man named Paddy Fenton, who claimed he was there when the ships were swapped. A letter had been sent of a conversation between Fenton and his son to the Northern Star newspaper, where Fenton had made two claims. The first claim was there was a hole in the side of the ship from a coal bunker fire, and the second claim was the Olympic and the Titanic were swapped. In this letter, he talked about a secret meeting with the construction crew where government officials cited the Official Secrets Act, threatening serious consequences for talking about the swap. Many people believed Fenton's first claim was true. There was a fire from a coal bunker on the Titanic, which can be supported by pictures and videos. People believe that because his first claim was true, that the second one had to be as well. Another reason why people believe this theory comes from the portholes on the sea deck. One of the very little differences that the Titanic and the Olympic had on the outside of the ship. The Titanic was supposed to have 14 evenly spaced portholes, but on launch day had 16 unevenly spaced portholes, just like the Olympic. Some people don't believe this theory because the insurance loss was less from the Titanic. The insurance money was less than the cost. In an article by Mark Charside, he states that Bruce Ismay, who chaired the White Star Line, who was chairman for the White Star Line and a survivor of the Titanic sinking, confirmed that the ship's cost was $7.5 million, but they only got insured for $5 million. If the goal was to ensure that one of the ships sank, it seems counterintuitive not to try and get more coverage and leaving $2.5 million uninsured. Dr. Kate Spadling provides another reasoning to doubt this theory in an article she wrote. She points out that the artifacts on the Titanic wreck were stamped with a clear 104, which is the ship's construction identification number. No, artifacts with the number 400 are linked to the Olympic. This physical evidence challenges the idea of a secret swap between the two ships. Lastly, where does this theory stand today? As of today, the Titanic theory remains a topic of discussion, with some people convinced it happened, while others are still skeptical. Even though there is no solid proof, people still debate it. Some people believe in this theory because of historical evidence and claims, while others question it considering financial aspects and physical evidence. The Titanic story lives on as people continue to share their viewpoints and keep the conversation going. In conclusion, the question that whether the Titanic was swapped and sunk with the Olympic In conclusion, the question that whether the Titanic was swapped with her sister ship, the Olympic, and sunk on purpose still keeps us interested. Whether you are someone who thinks it happened or someone who doubts it, people keep talking about it. The talk is sparked by things that happened, stories, and unusual occurrences related to the Titanic and her sister ship, the Olympic. Right now, there is no clear proof supporting the idea, but the conversation keeps showing how much people are still curious about the Titanic story. The story of this famous ship is both known with facts and things that we're still unsure about. The story of this famous ship is filled with both known facts and things we are still unsure about. And that is a lasting part of our history. Thank you for listening.